Welcome back to the Big Leagues podcast. David and I is back with another video. We're going to be breaking down UFC 303, Alex Pereira versus Jiri Prochazka. Like this video, subscribe if you want to see more UFC breakdowns. Main card kicks off with a banger right off the bat. We got Ian Garry versus Michael Venom Page. Garry, slight favorite, minus 140. MVP, slight underdog, plus 120. I mean, to me, what stands out big time there is the 4.5-inch reach advantage for Michael Venom Page. We got two good strikers. I don't think a single takedown will be attempted. Just going to be probably a kickboxing match. I mean, who do you like in this fight? To me, it's pretty close, but what do you got?
I'm gonna take MVP. Because when I watched the Kevin Holland fight, which was my first time watching MVP, because I'm not. Was he in Bellator?
Yeah.
What Bellator? Okay, yeah. He's just got a very unique kind of style. Like it's hard to You kind of saw that Kevin Holland had a hard time kind of figuring out how to really fight him. And I think with the big reach advantage, he's gonna because he doesn't even fight with his hands up. He kind of fights
Yeah.
But I liked his. I think he's got some good abilities. I think he's good at striking. I think he's quick. I like his. I think he's got really good distance control too. Because
Yeah.
to be able to fight with your hands down, you gotta have good distance control. And I think Gary's gonna have a tough time because he hasn't seen anything like that. And yeah, and I'm also a bit of a Garry hater. I can't say I'm his biggest fan, but also the way I've seen a few of his interviews, and he's saying he wants to beat Garry and then one more fight and then title. He's talking he thinks he's that guy and he's got title aspirations. So I mean, I like the confidence, so I'm gonna back him. I don't like Garry, so yeah, basically I'm gonna roll with that. Who do you got?
I mean, see, for the longest time, I was thinking about this fight because, I just was pretty interested by it. Two really good strikers and going back and forth. I really thought that reach advantage for Michael Venom Page was kind of what had me leaning on him, but because I kind of figured, you know what, Gary's a pretty big middleweight. He's probably used to having, or welterweight, sorry. So he's probably used to having reach advantages over guys. But I look back to his last two fights. His last fight, he fought Jeff Neal, had a half-inch reach advantage over him, pretty negligible, but pretty much the same. Or Jeff Neal had a half-inch reach advantage, which again is negligible, but still. And then the fight before that was Neil Magny, who had he has a 1 inch longer reach than MVP. So that kind of surprised me. And Garry dog walked him and battered his leg and just embarrassed him. So I don't know. I think like I said, I think this is 50-50, but I think I'm gonna back Garry, Gets a lot of hate. I wouldn't say I'm his biggest fan, but I'm definitely no hater. I think, he just has that supreme confidence. He's undefeated. He says he's going to go in there and win in spectacular fashion. And I mean, he doesn't always get knockouts, but so far he goes in there and he does what he says he's going to do. So I got that continuing.
Yeah, I mean, I don't hate it. It's a really close fight, so it's hard to say. But I mean, when it's close like this, I lean with the guy. To be
That's
honest,
fair enough. Pick him the underdog too.
Yeah.
I think one thing for this fight that I really like is that fight to go the distance minus 175. I think that's a lock in my opinion. I just don't see this fight end in anything other than a decision, really. I mean, it's UFC. It's UFC. Someone could get a knockout. I mean, two good strikers, but I just think they'll both be so cautious and maintain distance. I don't think this is going to be a fire fight by any means. I think this is going to be a distance fight, and I think whoever wins is going to narrowly win on the cards, in my opinion.
No, I definitely think it'll go distance, even though MVP's got a few crazy knockouts at Bellator that I've seen, but I think Gary's really good defensively, and kind of with the way MVP fights, I don't think there'll be a lot of big time exchange. I think it'll more be kind of technical striking, a lot of leg kicks, a lot of body kicks. So I think 175 honestly is pretty good value.
Yeah. Moving around the card a little bit here, going up. We got a light heavyweight bout between Anthony Smith and Roman Dolidze. So this fight is pretty interesting. I mean, this card just riddled with injuries. It was supposed to be Jamal Hill versus Khalil Roundtree, and then Roundtree pulled out, and then Jamal Hill pulled out, Carlos Olbo pulled out, and then we ended up with Anthony Smith versus Roman Dolidze. Dolidze is moving up from middleweight on like a week's notice. Anthony Smith fighting this fight on pretty short notice as well. Both guys got a 76-inch reach advantage. Both guys 35 years old. Anthony Smith definitely has a lot more experience, 38 and 19, just been around the game. Almost took John Jones's belt, as we said, due to an illegal knee, but he's just a dog, man. He's got that heart. He could have just laid on the ground and took the belt, but he got up and kept fighting, and that's what he's doing here. I think this is a pretty close fight. I mean, odds say so as well. They got the leads and minus 140 favorite. I think I'm going Anthony Smith, man. I think Anthony Smith's the dog, and he's the natural light heavyweight. He had a slightly more time to prepare. I think he gets this done by either submission or decision. What do you think?
I'm also going to take Anthony Smith. I mean, kind of just like what you're saying. I think he's tough as nails.
Yeah.
I mean, they're both taking it on short notice. They're both kind of up there in age. And I just think Anthony Smith, he'll probably just tough it out. I think he'll win a decision. Dolidze, is this his first fight? I think it's his first fight at light heavyweight. So, Anthony Smith's been fighting there his whole career basically. So I'm gonna lean with kind of the guy who's been at the weight, and it's kind of a toss up fight, both taking on short notice. So I'm gonna roll with Anthony Smith though by decision.
Yeah, I mean Dolidze too for me. Like I was kind of big on him. He had some impressive knockouts. I thought like he could make a push for something, but his last fight, I was just like not impressed by his last fight. I mean, he just went in there with like no strategy. He was just trying to throw haymakers and it wasn't working. And it's just like, man, like you gotta fight a little more tactically than that. So I think I'm gonna go with the veteran Anthony Smith, like I said. Moving on to the co-main event. I think this fight's gonna be a banger. We got Brian Ortega versus Diego Lopez. Another fight, guys stepping in on short notice. Um, Diego Lopez actually the favorite at minus 150. I wasn't expecting that. Ortega's been at the top of that division for a while now. Really, his only loss are to Volkanovski and Holloway, who've dominated that division. I mean, he got TKO'd by Yair Rodriguez, but it was actually like due to an injury. So to me, man, like Diego Lopez is dangerous. His jujitsu, both guys' jujitsu is phenomenal. So like I don't know if Ortega will necessarily be able to use his elite jujitsu over Lopez. And Lopez got some nasty hands, showed us some first round KOs recently. But I just think Ortega is that guy, man. I think he gets this win. What about you?
I mean, I'm a big Ortega fan, but I'm gonna lean Lopez here because
Yeah.
I think Ortega's getting up there, and I think you said, it's gonna be hard for Ortega to get a submission because Diego Lopez's jiu-jitsu is so good. And I on the feet, I prefer Diego Lopez, to be honest. I'd prefer him in a striking battle, and I think kind of if the jiu-jitsu kind of cancels out, I think he'll win the exchanges on the feet. So I'd probably have him winning a split decision. It ain't. Is it 5 rounds?
Three.
3 rounds.
I believe, yeah, three.
Yeah. So I'm probably gonna roll decision. I mean, I could definitely see, I think there's a chance either one gets a submission because they're both just,
Yeah.
especially Ortega is just such an artist at it. But I'm just gonna roll. I'm gonna roll Lopez here. I just got that feeling.
I mean, I can't hate on that. Like both guys are really good. It could, like this fight could end really any way. I think is very possible. For me, I just think like, Brian Ortega's been on big stages before. I mean, he had Volkanovski in two like deep submissions. I mean, he was that close to being the featherweight champ, and so he's fought in main events before, and I think he's just more experienced. I think he's kind of a bit underrated, to be honest. I mean, like I said, the only guys that he truly lost to were Volkanovski and Holloway, and they're both like gonna go down as some of the greatest to ever grace the sport. So, yeah, that's who I got. But I think Lopez also a fair pick. And then we're down to the main event. This is a fight I'm pretty excited for. Two of my favorite fighters. We got Alex Pereira, Jiri Prochazka. They fought fairly recently. Pereira got the early KO. He's favored to win this fight, rightfully so, -150. Jiri +125. I mean, jumping out right to me off the bat. I mean, for Pereira to finish him early like that last time, I feel like the he isn't really as big of a favorite as I would have expected. Like, what do you think about that?
I mean, I think it's somewhat valid because I think there's always the concern that maybe Jiri kind of wants to take this fight to the ground primarily because last time he tried to strike with Pereira and he found out that that ain't very smart. So I think Yuri's really going to try to wrestle and bring this fight to the ground. And we know like Pereira's just not really like I don't think he's a danger to submit Yuri at all. I think he kind of
Could get Pereira likes to go for guillotine attempts. I mean, I feel like one of these times he could get one, but
I mean
not likely.
yeah, but in the Jan Blachowicz fight, Jan basically just sat on him, and Pereira basically just bided his time to the round was over, and then just kind of kicked his ass when he's on the feet. So I think I'm gonna take Pereira like that. My prediction be Pereira probably by KO again, within 3 rounds, I'd say. But like that's no discredit to Jiri because Yuri's unreal, but I just think Pereira's honestly a top 3 guy pound for pound, and it's just unlucky that like Yuri's got to go through him to get a belt. So who do you got?
Yeah, I mean, this is a really like I'm so excited for this fight. I mean, like I said, these guys are both like two of my favorite guys, so it's really hard to pick one over the other. I mean, like Pereira is just so good, but I think I think I'd probably have to pick him if my life depended on it, but I really think Yuri's got a really good chance, and I think a lot of people could be counting him out. I mean, that first fight, he talked about how like he wasn't really 100% in his camp and didn't really get to train as hard as he would have liked to. So I think if he comes in a little better shape this go around and learns from what happened in the previous fight. I mean, that first fight, his leg was battered. Like Pereira was just battering that leg up. So I think if he wants to win this fight, he's definitely going to have to do something about those kicks, and he can't just let his leg get compromised right off the bat again. I think he'd be really smart to mix in some grappling. I mean, Yuri submitted Pereira's like grappling coach, so I think it would definitely be a good idea for him. I think this fight will definitely go a bit longer than last time. I mean, I could see this fight being a war, and I could see Yuri getting kind of a late win here. Like, never know too. Yuri could throw a spinning back elbow, flying knee, and catch Pereira. Yeah, I don't know.
Well, in the first fight too, like even though Pereira slapped Yuri, like Yuri is winning a lot of exchanges on the feet. Like I know Pereira was just destroying his leg, but like when Yuri was coming forward towards Pereira and he was landing and he was landing at a high rate. Like I probably gave him the first round,
Yeah.
and like Yuri's he's a very talented all around fighter. So I definitely wouldn't rule him out. But just like it's hard when Pereira's connecting to like stay on your feet. Like his power is it's just so crazy. So
Yeah.
like I feel like if they try to have a war, I just don't think Yuri's gonna be the one standing at the end of it, to be honest.
Maybe not. Hard. It is really hard to bet against Pereira's striking and his power. I don't know. I just kind of got a gut feeling that Yuri pulls this win out, and I think after that we probably see the trilogy. I think that would be one of the probably like the greatest kind of like rivalries we've seen. If I mean, there's plenty of great ones that would still be better, but it would be awesome to see 3 fights between those guys. So I'm kind of pulling for Yuri to be honest, and I kind of got a gut feeling he gets a win, maybe a late submission.
Yeah, well, this I'm excited for the stare down pre-match again because they're gonna be locked in.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Any other thoughts on that card?
I mean, it ain't McGregor, but I feel they did the best they could, I guess. Like
Yeah.
Pereira, beside like for the main event at least, Pereira, like I think that's the best fight they probably could have made besides McGregor. But I mean, it's a solid card. Like
Yeah, it's watchable. It's
yeah,
watchable.
there's like 3 fights I'm very excited for, and like maybe 2 others that I'm like, okay, yeah, I'd watch this fight.
Yeah. No, should be a fun card to watch, some pretty good fighters that are like a lot of fan favorites on this
Yeah,
card, so we'll be excited to watch. Yeah, like this video, subscribe, and back with some more UFC videos soon.